Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Higher Education Subcommittee to order. It's Wednesday, March 19th. And I'd like to ask the clerk, Madam Clerk, to open the roll for attendance. Okay, Madam Clerk, take the attendance roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 members present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay, great. Members, the first bill on our agenda, on our calendar for today is House Bill 1324 by Leader Lamberth. Leader Lamberth, you've got a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I don't think we have any amendments on
No
this one.
amendments.
This is a straightforward bill. It just creates a Tennessee Works program, which would fully fund a TCAT education. So currently we cover tuition, but we don't cover fees. An example I'll give of that, I had a nephew that got right out of high school, went off to lineman school. He loved it. It was fantastic, but his family was out about $2,000 for the equipment to become a lineman. And so that they were able to do that. I mean, they were able to cobble their money together and do it, but not every family is able to do so. And so he graduated from lineman school. And if you've never been to one of those, it was at the TCAT in Oneida. It was one of the coolest graduations I've ever been to. I mean, it was really neat to see these kids show off their skills on hanging hot wire. And so, but when he graduated, I mean, his first year out, he ran all over the country. Anytime there's a hurricane, tornado, or anything like this, I don't think he mind me saying this. He made $120,000 his first year as a 19-year-old kid. I mean, it's impressive. So they're going to make money later on, but when they're going off to school, sometimes this is just a barrier that they're not able to overcome. Now, I will admit, if I'm fortunate enough to be passed out of this committee, which I hope y'all will pass it out today, that it's a good bill, it does have an over $12 million fiscal note on it that would come out of the lottery fund. This would go behind the budget and set there maybe for this year. Could come out, but maybe for next year, because that lottery fund has taken quite a hit over the years, and we do not want to overstress it. And I know, Chairman, that you have asked questions about that. We just need to kind of watch that. But from a policy standpoint, I hope this is something y'all would support. I stand ready for questions.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Chairman Hastings. Calling questions. Seeing no objection, then the leader has requested to move this bill to full education. So without objection, we are voting to send House Bill 1324 to full education. Madam Clerk, open the vote. Has every member voted? Would any member like to change their votes? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 1324 moves to full education. Thank you. Okay, members, second item on our agenda is House Bill 1344, and we have received a request to roll that 1 week. So without objection, House Bill 1344 rolled 1 week. Item number 3 on the calendar is House Bill 408 by Chairman White. Chairman White, you've got a motion and a second, and we have an amendment.
Yes, I believe the amendment is 5325. Is that what you show?
Yes. And you've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Would you like to describe the amendment?
Does the amendment, I believe the amendment rewrites the bill. Yeah, it does rewrite the bill.
Okay. So let's, without objection, let's put the amendment on the bill. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Amendment 5325 goes on to House Bill 408. And Chairman White, you're recognized on that bill.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman and committee. What this bill does is brought to me by THEC, Tennessee Higher Education. It makes the Tennessee Student Assistance Corporation, which TSAC, which over the years has governed our student loans, but that has drastically been changed in the last couple of years. It is a division of THEC, Tennessee Higher Education. So what we're doing is just transferring the governance of TSAC into underneath THEC in order to streamline operations, eliminate administrative redundancies. And the reason why is that some of the programs are winding down that have been under TSAC, and the Board of Governors of TSAC are all in agreement with this. It's just a little bit of duplication of administrative duties. These programs have been winding down for several years. No students will be impacted by the repeal of these programs, given the current Tennessee Future Teacher Scholarship, which serves the same populations. I think there's like 0 students in there right now. Anyway, we're just putting the governance back under THEC and cutting down on duplication of government.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, then we are ready to vote to send House Bill 408 to the Full Education Administration Committee. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Has every member voted? Would any member like to change their votes? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
Okay, House Bill 408 moves to full education. And Chairman White, you have the next item on our calendar, which is House Bill 663. Got a motion and a second. You recognize?
Brought this to me, never really got their language together. And so at this point in time, I'm going to ask that House Bill 663 be moved to the first calendar of next year.
Okay, without objection, we will move House Bill 663 to the first calendar of next year. Thank you, Chairman White. Item number 5 on the agenda is House Bill 474 by Chairman Vaughn. You got a motion and a second? Chairman Vaughn, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is this year's NIL update. Since we got into this.
And let me stop you real quick. I think that may be an upcoming bill. You are the sponsor of House Bill 474, but you're getting ready to present a different bill.
Oh,
I think you want to take this one off notice.
yeah. Oh,
We were notified you wanted to take it off notice.
Yes, sir.
Since you were sitting there, I guess I was going to give you the opportunity to say that, but
yes, no, I did want to take that one off notice.
okay. So without objection, House Bill 474 off notice.
I just got so excited and ahead of myself. I didn't know what to do, Mr. Chairman.
Understandable. This is an exciting place to be. And then item number 6 on our calendar is House Bill 75 by Chairman Slater, and it has also been requested to be taken off notice. So without objection, off notice. Now, item number 7 on our calendar is House Bill 194 by Chairman Vaughn. Got a motion and a second, and
Thank
we're
you,
now on the
sir.
right bill.
Now back to previous programming.
And you do have an amendment.
I do have an amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a
5662 is the drafting code.
yes, that's what we have. So you have a motion and a second on the amendment. Would you like to explain the amendment or put it on the bill first?
I'd like to put it on the bill. It rewrites the bill.
Okay, question's been called. We are voting to put amendment 5,662 on House Bill 194. All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill, and you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few years back, when we first brought forward NIL legislation, we were, I would say, in the top 20% of states that had seen this as an issue and have been trying to address it on a statewide level. Because frankly, this should be a congressional matter that is not being taken up. And that leaves us with this patchwork of state laws across the countryside that have to protect their institutions. Our efforts have protected our institution. I believe we saw that the Attorney General successfully defended the University of Tennessee versus some enforcement actions from the NCAA because of the laws that we had passed here protecting them. This is our latest version of those, because what happens is we pass bills here and then court cases are resolved, settlements are made. The landscape is constantly changing. And so what this bill will allow our member institutions to do is, frankly, upon these court cases and settlements, allow them to comply with these settlements and directly pay student athletes. That's where the model is going across the country. We don't want our institutions to be at a competitive disadvantage. And so that's what this bill will allow. In addition, it still provides safeguards. It still provides guardrails. One of the things that we are doing in here is restricting where some of their NIL, their name, image, and likeness relationships that they can enter into, such as issues that or advertisement that promotes gambling, tobacco. We've added THC in now, since that is also a mood enhancer, alcohol or adult entertainment. So those are things that we're protecting our student athletes' imagery as well as our member institution from things that we believe would be a negative light on them. But other than that, we're keeping up with the marketplace the best way we can so that our member institutions can be competitive on the changing landscape.
Sounds like we won't have to work through collectives as much as in the past.
That is indeed the hope with this. The collectives will still exist, but what this will do, and when I say I'd be remiss if I didn't say that it allows for the payment of student athletes, but it does not come from appropriated funding that the General Assembly provides these member institutions. So I want to make sure that that's clear. This through athletic foundations and other arms of the university.
It's a complicated but interesting area, and it makes sense that it needs to be updated regularly because of court decisions. Chairman Haston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say I appreciate you staying on top of this and bringing this bill. If this is one of these things that if we don't stay on top of this, and it shouldn't fall down to us and our responsibility on this, but I'm glad that we've got some people that are staying on top of it, because it's one of those things, if we don't stay on top of this on an annual basis, our programs and our collegiate programs are going to not fall behind 1 year, they're going to fall behind 2 or 3 years if we stay behind what some other states are doing. So I appreciate this and glad to be a co-sponsor on it.
Okay, Chairman Vaughn.
Yes, sir. I'd also like to point out that the legislature has a very active partner with the Attorney General's office. They are great, and our academic institutions do too. He stays he doesn't shy away from this topic. He looks to protect our student athletes' rights, and I think he does a great job of it. And so that we work in tandem with that office to try to do what we can.
Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sponsor. Just one question. These guardrails and this idea of paying students, are all the guardrails a guarantee that no student will find themselves in some kind of legal trouble later on? I think we've seen, and I know it's changed since then, we've seen people who actually go to prison based on money and material things they received while they were in college. So are these guardrails going to be able to ensure that doesn't happen?
Chairman Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Glenn, there's people make mistakes. People are fallible, and it's difficult to ensure something is not going to happen. What we try to do is deter it through training in this bill. The other thing that I'm glad that you asked a question about the protection of the student athletes. What this does is we're trying to strike a balance in this bill for the need for transparency around these public institutions and the privacy of the student athlete. And so as well as the competitive advantages that the way they deploy some of these programs. But what we don't want to do is we don't want our athletes to suddenly everybody search up what their NIL deal is, and let's say they missed the last second shot in their sub-state game against Memphis Northside, like some of us did, and it's only haunted them now for 50 years. But I didn't know how much. Never mind. We got to move on from that. But anyway, what it does is that while it will allow schools to share the information with regards to what their budgets look like, it's not going to be broken down and publicly available what each of these college athletes are receiving through FOIAs. And so we believe that we've got a proper balance of people can see how much money is being allocated in each of these, but it's not limited to where somebody comes up and harasses a kid because maybe he struck out with the bases loaded in the tournament. And so we do have financial training and literacy as was a part of our original bill. We continue that. And then with this, we're also trying to protect athletes from folks who may put demands on them that shouldn't be there.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we are ready to vote. We are voting to send House Bill 194 on to full education. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Has everyone voted? Would anyone like to change their vote? Madam Clerk, record the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 194 moves on to full education. And thank you for your work on this, Chairman Vaughn. Okay, next item on our agenda is House Bill number 7 by Chairman Hale. Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we have an amendment on this bill.
4938.
That's the one we have. You have a motion and a second on the amendment. Would you like us to put the amendment on the bill?
Please, sir.
Okay, we are then voting to put amendment number 4988 onto House Bill 4938 onto House Bill number 7. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Amendment goes on the bill. Chairman Hale, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. House Bill 7 was created in response to a THEC report that showed that an estimated 30% of higher education students in the state of Tennessee experience food insecurity during their time in school. This legislation creates a grant program called the Hunger Free Campus Grant, which would allocate funds to higher education institutions to address the growing issue with food insecurity on our campuses. THEC would administer these grants and is supportive of this legislation. And if needed, Lou with THEC is here today if needed for testimony or any comments or questions as well.
Okay, thank you. Members, you've heard the explanation. Are there any questions on the bill? Okay, Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sponsor, for bringing it. I just got a question on the fiscal note. You got University of Tennessee system. Is that for them only, or is that all universities across the state?
Chairman Hale.
We have questioned physical. We even asked for an appeal. Actually, what we're doing is setting up the grant fund, and then THEC is going to work, and then hopefully we can get the funds put in there and stuff. Lou may be able to answer that question a little better, but my understanding it's all of the UT campuses, every institution. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then we are ready to vote. We are voting to send House Bill number 7 to the full Education Administration Committee. Madam Clerk, open the vote. Has every member voted? Would any member like to change their vote? Record the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
House Bill 7 moves to full education. Thank you. Okay, item number 9 on our agenda is House Bill 777 by Representative Reeves. You've got a motion and a second. You're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 777, which is a great name, a great number, I will just note, expands eligibility for the HOPE Scholarship to students attending private post-secondary institutions in Tennessee that are candidates for regional accreditation. And currently, HOPE Scholarship eligibility is limited only to students attending institutions that are already fully accredited, which creates barriers for some students attending newer institutions. Williamson College, a very small college, about 60 students, is located in Williamson County, and I think it exemplifies the type of private institution this bill aims to assist, having initiated the process to become a candidate for accreditation. Expanding eligibility recognizes the rigorous standards required even for candidacy for accreditation and acknowledges that accreditation is typically a lengthy process, ensuring scholarship funds support quality education. And by extending eligibility, Tennessee demonstrates its commitment to expanding student access to higher education opportunities and supporting the growth of quality educational institutions. Now, while the bill has a potential fiscal impact on the Lottery for Education account, Williamson College's small size and limited enrollment mean this impact would likely be minimal, and any cost incurred will directly support Tennessee students. And I'll answer any questions.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation. Do we have any questions? We typically send, okay, Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to make sure that you're talking about sending Hope scholarships to a private institution? Did I hear you correct that a private institution will be
Yeah.
eligible for these funds?
Correct. And I believe it already goes to private institutions.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, if we open it up for Williamson, I believe you mentioned Williamson University or something to that
Williamson
effect.
College. so
Williamson
yes.
College, then do we open it up for every college now that seeks to go into this pot?
Well, I believe it's already open to private institutions, post-secondary institutions across the state. The change here really is that it would be open to those that are in the accreditation process, just not fully accredited.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions? If not, Representative Reeves, we typically send bills to a lottery calendar where they are all heard at the same time. And I think we've had limited discussion on that.
have.
I hope that's not a surprise. We've done a little texting. So without objection, we're going to move this to the lottery calendar, which will actually be heard next week.
Okay.
Without objection.
Thank you, Chair.
Item number 10 on our agenda is House Bill 1386 by Representative Harris, and I have received a request to roll this 1 week. So without objection, roll 1 week. Item number 11 on our calendar is House Bill 1103 by Representative Salinas, and I don't see her. So without objection, we will roll this to next week's calendar. Without objection, move to next week's calendar, roll to next week's calendar. And the last item on the agenda is item number 12.
All right, item number 12, House Bill 1036. Members, do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All right, properly motioned. And Chairman Baum, I think you do have an amendment or maybe a couple. Which one or which ones or one are we going to be looking at amendment wise?
The one I would like to consider putting on the bill is 5979.
All right, members, 5979 does rewrite the bill. So do I have a second? Second, right here. So there's properly motion probably before us. Without objection, members, we will be voting to adopt Amendment 5979. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We are back on your bill as amended. Chairman Baum, you are recognized on House Bill 1036.
Thank you, Chairman Haston. This is a bill that was brought to me by one of the boards governing one of our state universities. This board would like to have the ability to conduct a private meeting as it relates to senior administration personnel and their contracts. I think the gist of this would be that when it comes to decisions about renewing, for example, the contract of a university president, they would like to be able to conduct this discussion in private. I guess for maybe some obvious reasons so that any discussion about criticism might not be made public. And so I have offered to sponsor this bill for them. It would change the current code so that a state board of trustees could meet in private when discussing the contracts of senior administration personnel.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Members, any questions for our sponsor? Representative Glenn, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sponsor, would that information be made available after the meeting? maybe not in the context of, like you said, maybe there's some criticism, but the gist of the meeting would be made public after meeting with the senior folks.
Chairman Baum?
I think any decision would have to be made public, but maybe some of the underlying discussions could be kept private. It would be like treating the contract or the contract extension of a university president as if it were being determined in a kind of executive session.
Representative Glenn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a firm believer that sometimes meetings do need to be in private. I do think, and it may trigger other folks to come and say, hey, we want to be able to do ours in private as well. I mean, I'm still going to vote for the bill. I just see this becoming, now I want to do mine in private. Now I want to do mine. So just concerned about that, but okay. Thank you.
All right, members, any other questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, I believe we are set to vote on House Bill 1036. Madam Clerk, please open up the board for voting. Members, please cast your vote. Would anybody like to change their vote? All right, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes and 0 nays.
And where does this go? All right, and with 5 ayes, it goes on to full education. And I will hand the gavel back down to Chairman Baum.
Thank you, Chairman Haston. This is going to bring us to the end of our calendar for today. 2 things I want to announce. Next week will be our final calendar, and it will be our final, and it will be our lottery calendar. So next week will be our final meeting. And I also want to welcome our visitors who have come in. And Chairman Haston, you may want to, okay, we want to welcome you to the House Higher Education Subcommittee. We've already been discussing how this is a really fun place to be. This is the most fun committee going on right now. We've already talked about that. Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for welcoming our visitors from Clarksville, from our housing area. This is their first time at the Capitol, and they are truly excited to be here and actually learn how government works. They had a lot of questions in the hallway and told me all about the great things they've seen. So I am super excited to have them here and let them know they are welcome anytime they want to come by. And you cannot have anything out of my office, but thank you so much.
Y'all are very welcome to be here. If there's no more business before us, then our meeting is adjourned.